Hello and welcome to a calculative, financially prudent edition of Issue. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is now April 2013 and this is Issue Money. To give some currency to our podcast this month, we had a chat with two young entrepreneurs. Shao Ming and Leanne are both still in their mid-20s and both of them run their own businesses. Shao Ming runs a trading company and sells safes, while Leanne is one of the brains behind Suggesta, a tech startup that uses geolocation technology in its app. Listen on to this very business-like discussion. On point, high in value, and of course, as always, interesting.
My company is called Suggesta. We're a business platform that helps reach out to audiences based on their location, interests, and time. Yeah, so we're based on desktop and mobile. We're a tech startup, basically. Yeah, we're based in two cities, Sydney and KL, and we're looking at KL as a launchpad for the Asia Pacific region.
What does the app actually do?
Yeah. Okay, so it's based on location, interest, and time. It helps small, medium businesses reach out to audiences. For example, they can buy certain keywords or tags, and that will align with their interests and time. So if you're moving to a new city and you don't know what's going on, you don't have any friends there, then you're probably like, where can I get a haircut on Sunday? Where's open? Then we'll probably be able to tell you that better. If you're an art dealer looking to go into the city, where is the best place to go for these sort of things?
But the app isn't exactly out yet, right?
We are launching very soon, and we're meeting with partners who will come on board as part of our launch strategy.
And maybe you can tell us a sort of summary of how your story was in starting from university. What you studied there, and then where you were working, and then finally how you ended up here.
As a commerce and law student in Sydney, and I always thought I was gonna be a lawyer. Yeah, because I couldn't stand accounting, and for a while I was a lawyer, and it was a good life. It was okay, and this opportunity presented itself because I met a team of experienced people. They wanted someone to be the face of the company, I guess you could call that, to be more on the commercial side of things.
So was it an idea that you came up with them?
My co-founder and I, we formulated this idea, and to really bring it to market wasn't a clear path at all. So there was a lot of uncertainty in the early days, and until today, my parents still want me to be a lawyer. And they're like, we sent you to law school, you should be a lawyer. And they won't really feel that it's validated what I'm doing until I prove something. So those are the social pressures that I have to live up to, because I don't come from an entrepreneurial background.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends in law school, they are lawyers as well, and they're like, "Well, you're in tech? You didn't study tech, did you?" And so talking to them is sort of like a different circle now, but I don't want to let that limit what I can do.
Yeah.
So I've met a lot of people in the tech scene, and they're like, "Did you do tech?" I'm like, No, I didn't." But it always helps to have a head for the commercial side of things, because when you're too focused on the product, and I'm not saying that's not important, you fail to see the end goal, like how it will reach the market, how can it tie into people's business needs, the strategy. And I feel that I feel a good role in this team.
So did you have to do like a lot of familiarization in terms of the tech stuff? Were you new to it, or did you?
Yeah, I had a patient team, I'll say that. They were very patient. And I did educate myself by going to a lot of tech events. And usually you'd see a lot of veterans there, And I find that the more experienced people are more willing to share. Because they're more secure at where they are
Certain,
in their point in life. They're not gonna. I find younger people can be a bit more guarded. They can be a bit. They can hold you at arm's length because they're not sure where you're coming from. They're a bit insecure, but it's okay. Part of this job is knowing how to talk to people on different levels. You just have to be open. Yeah. Don't take things personally because it's a business. It's not about you.
Yeah, and Xiaomin, maybe you could do the same thing. You've told us at length how the business came up and so on, but maybe just a summary from uni.
What you said.
Yeah, and how you ended up in this. Was it something that was always in your mind since uni?
Okay. Well, I did economics and finance in the University of Melbourne. Okay, then from there, well, in uni, I've always wanted to be in the finance industry, investment banking, trading. But after graduation, I got offered, one of my dilemmas in life was this. I was offered a job in trading or management consulting. And after much consideration, I went for management consulting. And that was where I started my first professional career with one of the global management consulting firms. And yeah, from there, I worked about 6 months. I really enjoyed the job. It was very fulfilling intellectually. Okay, the learning curve was steep, which was what I wanted. And people there were very supportive, very intellectual, very driven, I would say. And that created a very nice working environment. I mean, first job, it was a good impression, so to speak. And the salary was I was well compensated, so no complaints. But after a while, I realized that, what we do as consultants is we lead a very sedentary life. What we do is we sit in front of a computer, we do a lot of slides, and then we do presentations, that's pretty much it. And I begin to question myself, is this what I really want to do for the next 40 years of my life? And then I realized, no. And one of my goals is, am I able to reach the 1 million ringgit mark, before 30? And I realized, no. You calculate and recalculate the increments and so that, and all
you can't you can't reach that mark.
You
need
can't
a fixed
reach-
income. That's what they always say.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
By 30, no. So, well, naturally I was in strategy, so I changed my strategy. I came out and started a trading company after 6 months.
Right. With you guys, it took you 6 months, and with Leanne a year. It sounds like a huge risk to take to decide to embark with your own startup. Was it something that you had to be very decisive about, to finally say, okay, I'm gonna make this huge decision to leave my job and to actually pursue this?
To me, it was actually a relatively easy decision because I asked myself, will I be able to do this when I'm 30? And I said no, because I'm quite risk averse in that sense. So I was thinking, since I'm young, not even mid-20s yet, worst come to us, if the business fails, no worries, I just go back to corporate world, just take it as a gap year. But the most important thing is that you must give yourself a chance, to take the risk of actually giving yourself a chance to earn that 1 million before you're 30.
Right.
Or not, you'll never find out, true or not.
Yeah.
And honestly, the risk at this age, no, unless you're already burdened with all the commitments from family and so on. But the only thing I had was just a car loan. I literally almost had nothing to lose, so to speak. I had my youth, but I've heard many people, by the time you start your business when you're 40 and you're 50 plus, you don't have the stamina. And basically it's more like go for it. The best time for me, my advice to people who are wanting to do their own business, go for it when you're young. There's no other better time. Maybe what you lack is experience, but then that is when you enroll yourself to the University of Hard Knocks. You learn things sometimes through the hard way.
Yeah.
But if you want to reduce all that unnecessary cost, because lessons can be very expensive, and I've got my fair share of expensive lessons, is to learn quick and also learn from others.
When it's interesting how when you were deciding on this, you said you have to give yourself 1 year to see if it works out or not, and treat it as a gap year. And if it doesn't work out, I can go back to my corporate job. Leanne, have you had the same mentality? Do you feel like, okay, I'm giving this up, but if this doesn't work out, you have that sense of safety, knowing that you have a degree and you had a professional job, this is something that you can continue later?
Sure, but I wouldn't say it's a concrete backup plan because they say when you don't have a backup plan, then you just gotta go for it. Yeah, and I do agree with Charmaine that this is the best age to start anything because the younger you are, the less obligations you have. Even that's why my older team members, they wish they started earlier, even if they had the corporate experience and the skills. They do have more obligations now, and sometimes they just can't be as flexible. And I can just take off in a day when I need to. I can just go to things when I need to, and it's great. Like, I didn't have an identity crisis. Like, oh, am I gonna be a lawyer or
But is that,
entrepreneur?
is that something you still want for yourself?
A lawyer.
A lawyer, and to use your law degree.
I do use my law degree. I'm sort of the in-house counsel, so I draft everything.
Okay.
I don't have to go to people to draft simple
Right.
agreements. Things that are not so complex. They're day to day. I do them, especially internal things that within the team. Like partners that we know. It's just good to have a lawyer's hat on to formalize and document everything. Some people who are new business owners are not used to documenting everything.
Right.
But you'll find when you meet investors, they want to see that everything is documented. So I find that grounding was good for me.
Of course.
I was a commercial lawyer, so that helped as well. But it is the right. Yeah, there's no perfect time. You can spend time being a wantrepreneur or an entrepreneur.
Oh my god, is that one of the taglines?
No, I find it very true though. A lot of people, they're in the spectators seat. They're in the armchairs. They're criticizing you. I mean, they say haters gonna be haters, right?
Yeah.
But they're not in the arena fighting every day
Yeah.
for your livelihood. You're not those
Yeah.
people. So I take those comments with a pinch of salt because they don't actually go through what I go through.
Yeah.
And the investors who are obviously older, they have the money and experience, but they probably wish they were my age too and they were starting something like this.
Yeah. Let's move into university. I want to see, basically we want to explore if there's been any evolution in your character, in your personality. Like, has it changed?
Like, what sort of person do you
yeah.
think you were in university in terms of your personal traits, but also like your characteristics that interact with money?
And how you thought about money, the value of money.
I went to boarding school and we were given pocket money, but we never really had to use much of it unless we go on like shopping days.
Yeah, you save it for the weekend when you go to the mall. It's not for your needs.
No, it's not for your basic needs.
like-
Everything is provided. So,
Yeah.
but at uni, I guess that's when I started a part-time job. It was a pretty good part-time job at uni. So I had some pocket money and I just put it away. I never knew what it would be really used for. I wasn't the perfect budgeter. Yeah. When you first start earning money, you go on this new rush for a while. It's like you feel empowered.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not beholden to asking your parents anymore for
Yeah.
money. It's nice. My views around money. Well, obviously, when I started the business, I had all that money, and it was good to start using it for something productive. But you should never underestimate how much you would actually use for your business. Never underestimate. They say for cash flow, at least look 6 months ahead. So you should plan very well for forecasting, they call it, but for what your cost will be at a different stage in time and things like that. So definitely budgeting for the business has changed my mindset a lot.
In university as a person, would you have like an awareness about your finances? Were you responsible financially?
Yeah, especially since you come from, like, as you said, your family, a lot of them are business people themselves. So did you like have that awareness already back then?
I think yes. I did have the awareness, and I was already reading books like Poor Dad, Rich Dad, all that. You know.
Who's bankrupt now?
Yeah.
Oh, he's bankrupt now, is it?
Yeah.
But some of the concepts that we pick up and some financial knowledge, I think is really important. Like to get your perspective right. For example, he did mention something that was really eye-opening, that your house is not an asset because it's not generating you any income unless you're renting it out. Then that is really an asset.
Okay.
When I was in uni, I think I was quite thrifty. Okay, because I couldn't bear the idea of my parents spending nearly $500,000, except for gadgets though. Yes. I thrift in other areas, but I do spend quite a bit on theatre shows, gadgets, those kind of things. And then when I started a business now, the thing about business is that like you say, cash flow. How, you have to forecast when the money will go out and when the money comes in. For me, after 1.5 years doing this business, I realized that it has a lot to do with rolling the money. Rolling the money. When do you expect money to come in and when do you expect money to go out? Because, for example, my business, I'm running a trading company. So we do extend credit terms to customers, 30 days, 90 days. So you need to say, okay, in 90 days time, there's going to be, like, let's say 100K coming in. Then you have to adjust your budgets and so on. Even though we see figures like 100K in the bank or 200K in the bank, I don't dare touch it because it's like you never know, you
need a reserve.
Yes, you need a reserve, and you never know when you suddenly need to pay a lump sum of amount because something comes by you. Because when there's an opportunity, you want to have money to seize it. Sometimes you can say, okay, yeah, here's a advertisement. It's a very good deal. Actually, the original price is 50,000. Now it's 10,000. Can you afford it? Actually, it's a good deal. I don't even have 10K in my bank. So you miss out on that.
Yeah.
And for me, money, I don't pay myself well in business. Some months I don't pay myself. What's most important for me is that you reinvest the revenue back into the business. That's only how the business can grow. So normally people say, hey, you do business, you don't see money. That is true in some sense, at least for now, because what happens is that your stock holding increases. You suddenly have more assets, like you suddenly have bought a lorry, you have more staff, so expenses.
With your business, what I want to know is like how often do you have to recalculate, and at which points you have to make decisions to say, because I'm sure it's very unpredictable. You can sort of like forecast and see, but when you allow yourself to make decisions that involve spending money,
First thing, one of the things that I need to look at is inventory.
Right.
Inventory is very important. Okay, fine, you have all the revenue in, but if you don't have any stocks to sell, what's the point? So that is when I need to go through my inventory list, what stocks are there and so on, and I need to place an order. And then we order by the container.
Right.
Okay, so lump sums of money go out. But then see, once you get the stock, it's all tied up in stocks, right? The money is all tied up in stocks. Then you have to quickly think, how are you going to liquidate all these stocks? And that's when you make profits. And then from profits, you have to pay your fixed expenses like your rent and whatnot. Yeah, so it depends. When you're looking at stocks, for me, it's inventory and also A&P, advertisement and also promotions.
My business model is quite different because we don't have inventory. What we use is technology, so it's intellectual property. But we still need those cash reserves because, as you know, technology moves really fast, and you gotta be ready with the new version all the time. You gotta be one step ahead of your competitors.
Have you managed? How do you manage that? Like, do you anticipate the changes that you have to make in X months?
Well, months is a good predictor, but also watch your competition really well because you want to see what's been done and what hasn't been done. So most of our costs are tied up in mobile development. So our best assets are really our people.
Do you guys have a shock when you had to really look into the competitive landscape of your own business? Because in my experience last year when I wanted to start something, and then we really thought that you hadn't been done before. And then when you really go out and look and you see that it's really quite a matured market, you have the same experience, and were you taken aback?
For me, I am pretty sure that the market's untapped because I deal in safes and so on. But you see, not only don't look at just the industry level, but look at what kind of market segment are you looking at. Are you targeting end users? Right. Are you targeting projects? So you have to find your own
different
niche.
levels.
Yes, exactly. So the product itself, my advantage is that the product itself is niche, and the target market that I'm approaching is also niche. So it's a niche within a niche.
It's almost like you've identified this very specific niche, and you know who your customers are. You know who the people you're dealing with.
Correct.
With you, Lian, is there more ambiguity when it comes to technology? How's the situation like?
In
terms of competition, customers, your stakeholders,
you can either be revolutionary or you can be pioneering. So improving some things that are already there, like you introducing new markets or building something from scratch. So we were building something from scratch, and it's not like there hasn't been variations. However, I think especially in the tech world, an idea is a dime a dozen. you need to execute it. That's where the difference lies.
Right.
Yeah, it's the partnerships that you form, it's the strategic alliances that you form that will really make the difference.
So
Yeah.
in the tech industry, there's so many ideas out there, but rarely do people actually execute them.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be scared of everyone doing your own thing, you're never gonna end up doing your
So,
own thing.
as you say, it's always like the tech industry is always refreshing itself. Is there a
Yeah,
fear
it
that
always
someone,
refreshes
like when your product does launch and it's out there, is there a fear that someone with more capital can just do it better or do a bigger version of it, or just
Yeah,
like,
sure. I've faced
outperform
that
you?
question before. But what I mean is when you have some partners lined up and you have that very unique content that other people don't have, and that will draw people to your platform. Yeah, even if you have another, technology with the same kind of features, but if they're an empty platform, then you get no users anyway. Also depends on the team a lot of the time, because they say people first before product, because with the best people you can make the best product.
And also, as you said, the partners, the relationships you have with your customers,
Yeah.
that's really important.
Yeah.
Like, that's something they
like-
might treasure more than having
Yeah.
someone new offer something else.
Exactly. If they like you more. And it's also, maybe you can say a regional concentration. So a lot of technology is saturated in the United States, but so maybe in an emerging market like this,
More
it would-
opportunities.
yeah, with an open mind and appetite to go for new technology, then we could capitalize on that.
So with a full-time job, you are actually doing the full-time job. There's no time to do anything else, right? So you had this very clear vision of the life that you wanted for yourself
Yes,
towards moving towards 30. How about what was your story like? Yeah.
I think being an entrepreneur is really working towards a bigger dream. Day to day, it might not seem like it, but you focus on the long term. It's not always easy. Yeah. When things get really hard and uncertain,
You remind yourself.
yeah, you gotta think, why am I doing this? Would I rather work hard for myself or for someone else?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have to rely on support from other people to do this? Meaning your family and your peers and your friends. Was it important for you to have like
Their approval.
for them to understand what you were doing and say, yes, Lian, yes, Xiaomin, we get it? Or was it
I'm gonna do my own thing.
yeah.
Yeah. Regardless. I think by and large, friends and family, they were pretty supportive in vocally. But when it comes to
Yeah, I know
but when
what
it
you
comes
mean.
to
I know
like,
what you
hey, I
mean.
need help. I'm really busy. Can you come and help? I was like, oh, sorry, I've got something on.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, but they'll say, yeah, go for it. But I'm usually quite wary with this kind of people, because
Yeah.
if you do make it, then you begin to think, who are your real friends?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's something that I'm very careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at this moment when I'm still struggling, I have already identified who are true
You know
friends.
who you can rely on.
Yes, who I can
actually.
rely on and so on.
Okay.
But it sounds like you have a lot on your own shoulders. Like this responsibility of even choosing who to trust, like it falls on you. Like
Yes, it's a to many for me it's like a one-man show.
Yeah.
Vital decisions, important decisions I have to make. It rests on my shoulders.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's good to discuss it with other key people. For example, like my mother and my father.
Yes.
But normally, at the end of the day, they say, think about it and make your own decision. Because my parents, they want me to be independent. They want me to make decisions, and even if it's a mistake, learn from it.
right.
Yeah.
That's really. I just want to explore more of that. Like it's very rare to have parents like that who want you to make your own decisions and to say that okay, if there are consequences, then you have to go. Because Asian parents are normally like, we
Do
know
this,
better,
this
we
is
have more
right.
experience, and this is what. Why are your parents like that? I mean, it sounds like a good question, but I'm just curious
Yes,
to why they're like that.
Well, actually, it depends. Okay, for certain things, of which, for example, like my mom is really, really sure that this is the wrong path,
Right.
she'll say, watch out and all that.
Yeah.
And most probably I'll keep, because I don't like to pay unnecessarily for mistakes which can actually be avoided. True enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for certain things where we are both like 50-50, then you say you think about it and then you make your own decision.
Oh, okay.
You have to learn from it. And because I think, like, from my parents, they're from a previous generation, right?
Yeah.
So, in a sense, they're also afraid that they may not be up to date. They may not know what is the latest, know how to do, what is the best practice in the industry. So, they leave it to me. Okay,
So they recognize that you have a certain advantage because
you have a certain...
you're new.
Yes,
Yeah, your age.
exactly. And so, yeah, like, yellow pages, you do not know whether to advertise in Yellow Pages. My mom will say, yeah, you should advertise in Yellow Pages. And when we advertise, exactly. And there's no inquiries, and I'm like, Mom, not many people look through Yellow Pages anymore. And so, in that sense, we have to bridge the generation gap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the relationship you have with your parents, it sounds like it's very mutually respectful. Like you both talk and listen to each other. It's not like a parent-child dynamic, like they telling you what to do. It's more like a conversation between.
It's not 100% of
Yeah.
either, because you see, sometimes for example, like my mom, because I work with my mom very closely,
Right.
she has to tell me what to do. Why?
Okay.
Because being inexperienced, right? I sometimes behave like a headless chicken. Really,
Yeah.
like you don't know what to do. You have no sense of direction, because you have to do everything. It can get pretty overwhelming. Overwhelming.
Yeah.
So it's like headless chicken. But I say, why you behave like a headless chicken? Sit down and plan what you need to do. But sometimes okay. But you see, like my mom, she's experienced, she knows what to do, what needs to be get done. Okay, after this you need to do this, It gives you a direction.
Yep.
But there are some things which maybe at a higher level where, you can talk at the same level,
Yeah.
and she will appreciate your input and so on, because two heads is always better than one.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Leanne, do you have, like Xiaomin has a mom to anchor. Do you have someone like that in your team? I know you, because the relationship you have with your parents and the way they think about what you're doing is different to hers. So do you have a person there to sort of anchor your anxieties? Yeah.
Yeah, I really have to anchor on my co-founders, on my team, because they're in there with me day in and day out. It's not like my parents were opposed to this, basically because I just did it. I was stubborn, so maybe I'm just a bit rebellious like that. But they don't exactly they're not openly disapproving. They're like quietly hoping, I'll come back to what I
know
used to
exactly what you mean.
like deep down inside.
And they never overly declare the acceptance.
No, never
exactly.
really.
That's like too much.
They're passive supporters, but I can. But I think it would help a lot more if they were actively supportive.
Of course.
But I've never asked any financial help from them at all. So I think in a way, they can just say, "You go do la, it's your own money" or whatever. But I would love that if my parents were supportive. I think they're sort of trying, but because it's technology, they find it really
It sounds like a wishy-washy, right?
No, they just
they're not
don't
tech-savvy,
understand it.
yeah.
They don't. My mom doesn't have a smartphone.
What's an app?
Yeah, who would use this?
Where's your product?
Yeah.
Where is it?
She's really sweet in a sense, like she'll give me articles of other tech entrepreneurs and things like that, or things on the radio. Sure, she'll do that. But I don't think if I start talking to her about, we're on a cloud-based platform and it's gonna have this much capacity of users per month, I really don't think they will.
It's just black magic.
Yeah. So they shuttle me to meetings, but other than that, they're like, "Oh, so how did your meeting go? Oh, that's good." But they can't actually tell me what the next steps will be.
right. So,
So yes, sometimes I am a headless chicken, and my co-founders too. Like we really have to collaborate on what's the next step to do. But they say the price of freedom, and in this case, it will be financial freedom, is loneliness, in the sense that you don't really have anyone to relate to. And there are mentors in the industry, but there's a certain level you can consult them on, or how accessible they can be. So yeah, some days I'll just be really stressed out, and my parents will be like, "So why are you stressed?" And I'm like, "No, it's alright." And if you work with people, you kind of have to balance that too. You can't just bitch all day and they'll just be listening. So it is pretty hard. Yeah.
I'm particularly curious about the segregation between your professional life and your personal life, because this is like your own blood, sweat, and
do you
tears.
have a personal life?
Yeah, that's a good question.
you
You have a
afford?
personal life? Yeah, because with a 9 to 5 job, the theory is you get to park your job at the door. In theory, at the end of the day, right? It's quite a challenge to balance work and life. I used to work like early in the mornings up till midnight, even past morning. That used to be. But after a while, once I've managed to establish a tiny system, then I tell myself there has to be work-life balance. Okay, I work from morning till maybe let's say 8, but I make sure I make time for other things, for example like gym, catching up with friends, playing badminton. It's really important. Because one of my philosophy in life is that what's the point if you earn wealth at the expense of your health, you get the money to pay your medical bills. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. And it's tough. It's tough because time. You don't have time to yourself. Like when you're working for other people, you can apply for leave and you're granted leave. But for me, no. There's no such thing as a leave. There's no such thing over weekends. There's no such thing as I demand for my leave because so and so forth. Because at the end of the day, you have to answer yourself. So the business will still run, but you can't just let it like fail. An event fail. You have to be there over the weekends. So it's really really demanding, and at times I feel very drained at the end of the day because And you don't see the results at times. You don't see the results. It's like it's a long-term thing. It's not like today I pay myself like 2,000 and the next day I would just increase it to 10,000, or you still pay yourself 2,000 even though you work like twice as hard. It's just difficult.
In the end, like, are you still at the stage where you're still trying to find structure and there's still a lot of like sleepless nights?
Oh yeah, I do get insomnia because of stress. But
because you're still like laying the groundwork.
Yeah,
It's just like,
laying the
Shao, it
groundwork
sounds
and-
like you already have something, whereas you're just about to approach it.
yeah.
So is it like a
It's-
scary stage to be in?
Well, sometimes I just sleep because I'm exhausted, really. But for personal life, I don't get to leave my work at work. Like sometimes I'll try scheduling time with my friends, but then I'll be picking up calls and going out of room. I feel so stressed that I don't feel like I don't want to be there because it's so. Like my mind is sort of passively on work all the time, and if I don't put out the fire when it happens, then it's gonna just burn. So I get calls at weird times too because maybe my colleagues are also insomniacs. but I just have to be there to pick up because I feel that I have to be, because the decision making lies with me. They'll defer to me, and I mean we need to talk about it at the time. It's not like I complain about it. I mean, I like what I do. Obviously, that's what I'm doing. But yes, it is draining.
So on that slightly somber note, we end this month's podcast. You can find out more about the two girls in this month's editor's note by Atika, where you'll also find links and other information. It's a bigger issue this month, more value for money, so to speak, so invest some time and read through all the different pieces featured. And as always, like, follow, and subscribe to us to get the latest updates and extras. Details in the About page. Till next time, happy reading.